what other functions are available to us in NPMR? And I think you are working on a program that's going to help develop the imagination in order to better um, navigate through non-physical reality in out-of-body experiences.
Yeah, it's interesting that you mentioned that the tool that I'm working on, but that's a tool, and it probably fits into this category of what are some other things that what other functions are there that you can use, and one is that you are somewhat limited in how you interpret information. If you are, say, a very intellectual person, very left brain, intellectual, logical process oriented, then you will tend to interpret everything in terms of that mode. Everything will be, intellectual stuff. You won't get a lot of feeling information. You'll get just facts. Well, this happened, then that happened, then the other thing happened, and then I saw this, and then I saw that. That's just all intellectual stuff. But you'll miss a great deal of the feeling stuff that will come your way. Okay? If you only live your life, I shouldn't say only, but if you live most of your life just through your eyes and ears, what you see and what you hear, and all the rest of your senses are sort of there, but they're not really a big part of your life. What you touch, what you smell, what you taste, they're there, but it's not a big part of your life. Well, then you will interpret everything in terms of sight and sound. You won't get smells, you won't get feelings, you won't get tastes, because they're just not standard. That's not how you interpret data. So all of these things limit how you interpret the data. So you can modify the experience you have by making it richer, much richer experience, if you can include feelings, tastes, smells, emotional content. So if you have that, then your experience becomes, well, each one of those senses is another dimension, so it becomes a 5-dimensional space that you're in, one for each of the 5 senses. If you can interpret, if you're used to interpreting, if you're very facile at interpreting all of your sense data, the smell and the taste, as well as the sight and the hearing, then your out-of-body experiences will take on another dimension, because you do interpret what you get in terms of your experience. And if your experience is mostly just sight and sound, then all you'll get is sight and sound. So that's one thing. And yes, indeed, I am putting together a tool set that is going to be available at MBT events. And it'll be available for purchase. It'll be an interesting tool, I think, and it's going to help people develop their ability to function through all 5 senses, and their ability to translate like out-of-body experiences into those 5 senses. And it will also help them become more creative, more able to think out of the box. It will enable them to more easily experience things like out-of-body and remote viewing and other kinds of paranormal things. It kind of one will lead into the other, so that it is a kind of a training aid for people who would like to experience out-of-body but are having a hard time getting their intellect to sit down and be quiet. They're having a hard time getting into their intuitive space, into their being level, and just staying there without that intellect constantly trying to judge and assess what's going on and why it's going on, and am I doing it right, and am I really doing that, or am I doing something else? All those are just judgments. That's the intellect judging, trying to assess. And to get that to stop, then I've created this tool. So for those people that have difficulty getting to out of body. This tool, I think, will be very helpful if they work with it for a while. It's not going to be a magic pill. It's not like it'll instantly, make their intellect sit down and be quiet. But if they work with it routinely, consistently over, I don't know, even just a few months, it will start to make a difference, and they can practice at the things they really need to do, which is to function without their intellect calling all the shots. So, and like I say, it's good for creativity and thinking out of the box as well. And actually, it will enrich their life in this reality as well as their life in, other realities. It's kind of an enrichment course altogether. So that's one of the tools. Yes, it's talking about different things that you can do, different functions there that you can use. Another function that is not used as much is to realize that when you are in these adventures in the non-physical, you're experiencing some single player game, you're in it and action's happening and you're doing this and you're doing that and your places and things are happening. You can assert control over what happens with your intent. Here in this virtual reality, our intent can modify future probability. But in those realities, when we are in a single player game, our intent can modify future probability much more strongly and directly than it does in this virtual reality. And that's a function that probably almost nobody knows about. So that would be another one. If there's things that are happening or a situation that's set up, you can always take your intent and pretty easily rearrange it. In other words, you can write your own scripts. You can change the script as you go. You can add things, take things away. You can be co-creator with the system that's sending you that data stream. You don't have to just accept what you get. You can become a co-creator with the system in generating a particular data stream. And very few people are aware of that. So that gives you another whole dimension of interaction, where it's not just you log on and there's the game and you play it, but you can help define the game. You can help modify the game. And what happens is that you and the system, the LCS, become kind of co-creators of the game. So you may start the LCS's game and you may take it in a little different direction. And the LCS will pick up on that direction and feed that someplace else that otherwise maybe wasn't going to go. And it would take it someplace else. And then you may make another little twist in it. So where it actually ends up is a dynamic interplay between you and the system as to where it actually ends up. So there is that. So it's basically you get the LCS to play with you. You're in a virtual reality, but it's not just I'm logged on and I'll get whatever I get, but it's logged on and you can get the system to play with you, to interact creatively with what you're doing. So that is, I don't generally talk about that because most people are not at a level where they can actually use that. You have to be a little more advanced in the sense that, the out of body or cruising around in other reality systems has to be not a challenge for you, but you can make it a very interesting learning experience, or even just an interesting game. If you're just interested in a kind of a fun experience, the system has a good sense of humor. It can play with you there and create things for you. So you and the system can interact to modify the script of the game. So give that one a try and see how that works for you.